Hello, welcome to Aspiring Filmmaker Asks. This is a series where I ask people that I know about their experience in film so that I can learn more and so that you can learn more. Today we're talking with Charlotte, my very good friend, who's going to talk to us about being an assistant director. Okay. Hi Charlotte.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Okay. So, assistant director. We're going to talk today, I think, about probably all of the assistant director roles, but primarily you work as a first assistant director.
Yes.
So what is a first assistant director for the viewers at home?
First assistant director, I like to give myself a little bit to make it sound more important. I'm like, you're basically a director, but for nothing creative. That's how I like to say it. No, but it's like you're running all the logistics side of the set, so you're not doing anything creative. It's not a creative role at all. But you're making the schedule, and then you're making sure that the schedule gets made on time. You're making sure that we stick to the schedule while on set, so you make sure the departments are all linked and are timed up together on set, so everything runs as smoothly as possible on set.
Totally. Very nice. Okay, so like you said, you're doing the scheduling, which involves creating the one line, which is a sheet of basically like all of the scenes and all of the days that you'll be working and what you're going to film on what day, basically. And then sometimes making the call sheets, but I guess that's kind of usually supposed to be another person's job.
It's a lot to take on, but
and then making sure that everything runs smoothly while on set. So let's start with doing the prep piece first. So you're having to prepare how everything is going to be scheduled. Can you walk us through what that looks like?
Yeah. The first step, once you get the script, is to do a breakdown. So you're gonna read, first of all, read the script, just read it so you know what's happening. Read it without thinking about anything else, and then the second time you can start worrying about how you're gonna do things. You have to take a note. So I use the software that I use is Movie Magic Scheduling. That's the software that is industry standard for now. It's really old, kind of ugly and clunky. You have to watch a lot of YouTube tutorials online to figure out how it works, but it is worth it because it's what people use. And then that will allow you to basically create a little box for every scene in the script where you can write all the information that you need for the scene. You're gonna need the scene number, if it's day or night, where it's being shot, interior, exterior, who's in the scene, and then you can go into detail afterwards with what props are in the scene, everything that is in the scene, like costumes, set design, like anything that is mentioned,
makeup, vehicles, stunts.
Yeah, anything that is mentioned in the script, you have to highlight it. If you're gonna need it on set, you write it down on your little scene sheet, and then you make a scene sheet basically for every scene in the script. And once you're done, you can start looking at all those scenes and figuring out which should be shot together. If they're in the same location, you probably will want to try to shoot them together. You'll want to start with the day ones, finish with the night ones if you're shooting a normal hour day. And once you have figured that out, you just put in what day you want to shoot all of them. You can put it in your little calendar, make sure the actors are available on the right days. If you have a long shoot, sometimes the actors are not all available at the same time. And then you present it to the rest of the crew, and then the rest of the crew tells you why you were wrong, and then you change it again and again, and usually it ends up being a lot dumber than the first one you make is usually really nice and it makes sense, and then suddenly 1,000 things come up of, that thing won't be ready on that day, so we'll have to swap this, and a lot of things make it a lot dumber, but yeah. That's just how it goes.
Okay, now you've worked on a lot of short films. You've worked on some of my short films.
Yes.
But you're also coming off of doing a very micro budget feature. So how was scheduling for a feature different than scheduling for a short film, or was it mostly the same?
I mean, it's the same process, but yeah, it's just the scale. There's just so much more to think of, and I think I didn't realize just how much you need to be the person who knows everything, especially on a micro budget, because there's not a lot of other crew people. Everybody is focused on their thing, and you really need to be the person who knows what everybody else is doing.
I see.
And whereas I feel like on a short, because it's shorter, there's maybe more room for mistakes, because usually if it's a couple days, you know, maybe it's less locations, so if you make a mistake in prep, it's usually more easily fixable because everything is kind of there. You know, you're shooting for 2 days, so you have everything ready and it's easy to swap out. But when in a feature, sometimes you realize that you should have shot a scene that you planned like for 2 weeks later, and you're like, oh well, okay, the actors don't have the text ready because it's a feature, you know, kind of thing. You can't like easily make changes on the spot. You really have to be ready and think of everything. So I think communication is like, I should have done even more. I try to prep as much as possible, but it's like you really need to know everything to make sure that you're thinking about making sure all the props are going to be ready on time and everybody's aware of it, any changes that are happening on the day and exactly what is happening also.
I hear ya. Okay, so moving into when you're actually on set, what does a typical day for you look like?
What's a typical day for me look like? I feel like I like being a first AD because I don't have to do much. No, I'm kidding. I don't like, it's not a physical job at all. So I do get to just show up in the morning and kind of just watch everybody work for a bit. Like I settle in and I go say hi to everybody and then I kind of just check in on what they're doing. I'm not doing anything yet. I'm just like, okay, are we on schedule? How much, like, where are you at setting up the camera? Where are you at setting up the space, the props, the art? I go through every department, and then once I've got my updates, I'm like, okay, are we gonna be on time? Or do I need to start making changes because we're gonna be late, or we're gonna be on time? We're gonna start on time, it's gonna be great. And then it's just about making sure, usually I monitor the actors getting ready, and that's more of the AD role in the morning, is kind of making sure the actors are going through hair, makeup, costume on time and in order. Because sometimes you want a certain actor to start first in hair and then go to makeup, and you gotta organize that, make sure it's in the right order, because hair and makeup does not know what order you want usually. So it's on the call sheet, but usually people don't look at the call sheet. Like, that is one thing.
Yeah.
You have to go around reminding everybody what's on the call sheet, because a lot of people just look at their start time and that's what they know about the day.
And do you have like any, I don't know, tips or tricks that you use to like make sure that things are running smoothly? Like how do you manage that on set basically when there's so many people doing things and sometimes things just have to happen late and there's nothing that you can really do about it?
Yeah, I think that was one of my biggest lessons, was like, I feel like when I started I was like, I am in control of time, and if I just am angry enough, people will work faster and be on time. And I think eventually it was like, no, time is just, you can't control time. Time will just pass. So you gotta control what you can on set, which is like making it as smooth as possible. And when things don't go smoothly, as they do on set, you gotta roll with the punches. It's more about trying to plan it as best as you can and try to think of everything that could go wrong before it goes wrong. But then something will go wrong that you didn't think about, and then you have to just be smart on the spot and be like, usually what that involves is going to director and kind of being like, we're gonna have to compromise something. We were late on this because something from camera broke, or we forgot this prop and now we gotta go run and get it, and it's one of those two shots. Unfortunately, you gotta cut a shot, or maybe we can combine them, maybe we can't. And it's more about, it almost feels like it's more of a human thing than a like running, like it's not a logistics thing at this point. When you're on set on the day, it's more like, okay, like we're all here, we all understand, like are we all staying 15 minutes extra to get this one shot, or are we just compromising as the director willing to just be like, okay, I get it, we have to make changes.
Yeah, speaking of directors, because it is assistant director, right? And I know like on my set you were very good about being like, hey guys, like don't go to Jasmine with questions and things, come to me first, and so information always kind of went through you, which is very helpful, and that kind of becomes the role of an assistant director, but also, especially on these smaller sets, assistant director is also doing like health and safety stuff, so I don't know if you want to talk about that role a little bit.
Yeah, that is a very important part of the job that I feel like is not usually mentioned, or like we don't think about it, but every morning you're supposed to, sometimes I have to announce in sets. It goes
It doesn't happen, yeah.
But you're supposed to have kind of a meeting with everybody at the top of the day to do a little safety meeting. If go over any safety things if necessary, like if the location has something like you can't go out this door, or you don't fall because the balcony's broken or something kind of thing. You have to warn everybody of those
Fall
things.
5 stories.
Yeah, the balcony's
Leave
broken.
this room.
That's a good thing to warn people about. But in general, there's not that much safety things to say. Maybe it's just I try to always have a little emergency kit, like a little like Band-Aids, Tylenol. It's not really, it's not for big emergencies. For
For the little ones.
for the little things. Said you can tell people that at the beginning of the day, like if you cut your finger on something, I have Band-Aids, let me know. Usually it's also good to have a fire extinguisher. Again, probably on bigger sets, but I guess most people don't have fire extinguishers on set, but that's the thing you're supposed to do. Maybe it's like sunscreen kind of stuff. But safety meetings are also just like a nice way to get the day going. Like everybody's settled down for a second, everybody's saying hi, and then it's also a good time to go over the call sheet again, because like I said, people don't read it, so then at the beginning of the day you can do your safety meeting, and once you have everybody, you can say, this is what we're gonna do, in case you didn't read the call sheet, this is when lunch is, this is when we're shooting this scene, kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. And a call sheet is when basically it's sent out the night before typically, and it's just like, hey, here's when to show up, where, what we're doing today.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all the key information that you need to know. Sometimes it'll say like, hey, we're outside, like make sure you wear a jacket, because sometimes we shoot outside in the winter here in Canada. How does, for you as an AD, doing like exterior shoots or night shoots, like when you're kind of in that harsh weather, or like harsher conditions, I guess, how does that affect your job? Because some of what you're doing too is a little bit of like team morale, because you're often the one communicating between all the departments, so you are talking to everybody.
Yeah, and there's this thing where you really just, I don't know why it's that way, but you set the tone on set. If the AD's stressed, everybody's gonna be stressed, because they know how the day's going. Like they're focusing, all the departments are focusing on what's happening, the scene they're doing, and they're like, to them it can feel like the day's going great, but then the AD's freaking out in their corner, and they're like, oh, maybe, I think we're late actually. So if you're freaking out, you gotta like, kind of keep it inside, pretend everything's okay, so everybody else think it's okay, and then, because if everybody's freaking out, it doesn't, the day just falls apart more. So, and then, I think for outside, I mean, I try to always have, again, in the question of safety, I try to bring my own little hand warmers, feet warmers, or at least I ask production and I make sure that we have them before, because everybody's gonna freeze otherwise. I make sure we take breaks.
Yes, I've done a lot of runs for like the hand warmers, or to go get gloves, because people didn't wear gloves, because
I feel like that's more, I feel like it's more on crew, but hand warmers, feet warmers, it's nice for production to have those if you're gonna make people go outside for your movie, and I think it's also sometimes battling it a little bit with the director to be like, hey, maybe crew should take a break. Because what I find on student sets is because everybody's here for the experience, sometimes people are more willing to put their safety and just well-being on the burner for now, and just like, they're like, we're doing the movie. So I try to focus on actors, but then from time to time you kind of just have to become a mom and be like, okay guys, you're like trembling, you're so cold, please take a break. I know you just want to get this movie done, but like, let's just take 5 minutes, sit down, eat something, and then we'll go back.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about, so that's like first assistant director, but there's also like second, third, fourth assistant director.
And then PA.
And then, So let's talk about second, just generally what is the role of a second assistant director?
This is like big, we're like talking about bigger stuff
let's
now,
look at bigger scale.
On a smaller set, sometimes you don't
they're
have a second.
not gonna have one. And
then the roles kind of get mixed up. Like, if you're not in a union set where the tasks are like
very clearly
very definitive, you can end up doing any of whatever things. But on a union thing, second AD is not on set. Not really. They're usually hiding in an office, in a trailer, whatever, where they can sit down and be at their computer, and the whole day that we're shooting, they're thinking about the day that we're shooting tomorrow. So they're doing the call sheet, and they're making sure if anything was still up in the air, they're clarifying, like, okay, this is when we're gonna do lunch, this is when we're gonna shoot this scene, making sure that the day for tomorrow is ready, and then they print out the call sheet. I don't know if they still print it out or if they do it on iPads anymore, but like, they have to go around the whole crew. That's the only time they come on set. They come in and they're like, check this for tomorrow, is this good? Are you okay? Is camera gonna have enough time to get ready? And then the DOP can sign off, yes, 2 hours is enough to get ready in the morning. And then every department has to approve, and once that's done, I'm assuming that's their day, but that takes a while. That takes a while for people to be like, okay, no, actually we're gonna need more time, or maybe we do this, or maybe we swap it out. Until the very last second, it changes, as you might know. I also do like background, and so on union things, so it's like, you just wait for the call sheet. On student sets, it's because people are disorganized, but on union sets, it's like, you know they're working, it just takes that long.
Yeah.
You're waiting, you're like, want to go to bed because you know your call time's going to be early, but the call sheet hasn't come yet, so.
Yeah, normally the call sheet is supposed to go out 12 hours before, but that doesn't always happen, unfortunately. But
sometimes what they do is they send like a draft one, and then usually they don't make it any earlier than that, at least.
Okay.
Like, so it's not.
So they're kind of like, hey, here's the general idea. It's still in flux.
Because it's really risky to say anything and then do it early. Like if you say call time's gonna be 6 and then you're like, actually it's gonna be 5:30. You risk the chance that people are gonna come at 6 and then that ruins your day. If you do the opposite, if you say 6 but then you're like, actually 6:30 and some people show up at 6,
then it's fine.
That's kind of a shame for them, but it works out for you because you're very early and you can still do the work.
There you go. Okay. So that second AD is doing the call sheet. What does a third AD do on this really ginormous sets that have a third?
Also, there's got to be more. You know, I'm saying the general things. I know the second AD definitely does more than just the call sheet, but that's like their main thing.
Yeah.
The third would be. It's kind of weird. The third is kind of the second to the first in a way. Like the second AD is doing such a different job. They're called the second. They're called the second AD, but they're doing something completely different. Whereas the third works with the first AD and is kind of like their second in command. Like if the AD needs anything done, but usually the AD has to stay on set pretty much at all times. So if anything needs to be done offset, they'll tell the third. They're kind of just helping out whatever possible. I know they're also the one that's responsible for the background. If you have background people coming in to make your scene feel more alive, they'll be the one directing the background because the first AD is usually more focused on making sure the actors are in the right spot and coming in and out. Just actors, fancy actors, you know, on student sets again, that's different. Fancy actors, whenever they're not like actively shooting, they're hiding in their trailer. They're doing something else. They're having a snack. I don't know. So it's like they gotta make sure they know at all times where the actors are and make sure they're coming in at the right time. So the third AD focuses on the background.
Yes, and some like on those big sets, there'll be a crew member for each of those actors, and then the third can just call them and be like, hey, where is this? Are we good to come in? Yeah, fly them in, as they say. Okay, and then we have fourth.
Yes. I'm actually not entirely too sure because you don't necessarily need a fourth.
Yeah.
Like it's up in the air productions, and I think even union productions.
Kind of just a glorified PA.
Pretty much. Usually the fourth AD is also called the trailer AD, and it would be that person that goes get the actors in the morning. They'd be the person again, we're talking about a set where set is somewhere, and then there's a trailer park somewhere where all the actors are, and it's and there's got to be a commute between. Yeah,
you're you got a golf cart or a walk or.
Yeah. So then the fourth would be actively staying at the trailers, which is where hair, costume, makeup would be happening for the actors. So then in the morning they would be the one following the actors around, making sure that they're doing everything, and then giving live updates of okay, this person just left makeup, they're going into costume now. In 5 minutes they'll be out of costume. Okay, and then the first AD or third AD are both aware of what's happening on set without having to go back and forth all the time.
Yeah, okay. And then let's get into your experiences on set. Do you have any horror stories that you would like to share?
I mean, I have a bunch. I don't know if there's anything in particular. I think it's just there's no singular story. I think it's like a set overall won't go terribly or really good. I feel like, on student sets specifically, it's always just the numbers. It's just you don't think about how many people you need to
everyone's learning, so
everyone's learning.
Nobody knows what they're doing.
Unfortunately, sometimes not everybody is as committed because you're on a student set. I think one of the, and this is not on the people, this is just what happens, but people are trying to learn, so they'll step into a role, they'll try doing it, and then halfway through your set they'll realize they don't like it that much. and then they're just not as committed as you'd like, and it's okay, we're trying to go fast, and they're kind of not necessarily taking it as seriously as the rest of the crew, and that's not on them, that's why we're here to learn. It's just sometimes yeah, things can drag on, and just honestly, it's the amount of people. It's usually always the amount of people. You don't think about the amount of work. Sometimes you don't realize the length of the days. I've had people sometimes be like, especially when you're like, usually the lower roles, like the roles, like lower roles, in the sense, that feels wrong to say, like not the head of departments, basically. The head of departments, when they sign onto the set, usually they worked before the set, they know where they're signing up for, but then you'll be getting some grips and PAs who might join in on the day, and then they show up and they do not know what to expect at all, and then they're like, oh wait, this is gonna be 12 hours? Oh, you want me to be doing all this? And it's like, yes. Yes. I think I think that's where most of my horror stories come from.
That is a big thing with film, especially in film school, is film is very glamorized, and they don't realize how much of it is like, okay, no, you're working 12-hour days at minimum a lot of times. Like a lot of places now are trying to get down to like 10 hours, I think, is what I've heard. Like I saw an interview with the guys who did Heated Rivalry, and they were like, we tried to stick to 10-hour days, and I was like, good for them, kudos to you. So I think we hope to see a shift in the industry towards shorter days, because it's safer overall. One of my favorite statistics, though it's dark, is that the number one cause of death on film sets is people falling asleep behind the wheel on their drive home. So it is dangerous in that way, but we love it, even though it's long days and hard work, we still do it. Do you have any moments that you're particularly proud of, where you're like, oh man, this was like going badly, and then I kind of was able to move things around to turn it around, or just this day went so smooth and everything was perfect?
I don't think I've ever had a day go super smooth, honestly, unless it's like, I've had like one-day shoots before, where it's like, okay, like when you do a one-day shoot, usually you know you're gonna do less than 12 hours, like, so it's like usually it's a shorter day, and usually you get everything done whenever you want, and that's like a smooth day. But I think the thing I'm most proud of is like this one set at York. I don't know if I can say the name.
It's fine.
What was it called?
Yes.
That set?
I'll bleep the name.
Anyway, there's this one set where it was like, let's just say very chaotic. The prep work was probably not as thorough as it should have been at all. And on the day, I'd like, usually, I walk around the departments and everyone is doing their thing, and I kind of feel like I'm just checking in, and it doesn't necessarily feel like you're doing much, because everybody is working and you're kind of just blinking the people. On that set, I definitely felt like I was doing something. It was the first time I finished that set, and I was like, okay, if I had not been there, that movie would not be done in 4 days. It was like thinking ahead and trying to make everything fit as efficiently as possible.
I will say, I know that was really impressive, because I worked as AD for one day on that set, and I had a rough time. Let me tell you what, I definitely did not have the talent or skill necessary to pull that off, so you did great.
Thank you. That's like at the end of that shoot, I was like, wow, I can tell what I did for once, and
sure.
I'm happy.
You were on Rio set?
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah, because that one was another one that I feel like was...
Yeah. That one taught me that, on what I said before, on student sets, people don't care necessarily as much about their well-being, and that kind of made me a little bit angry. Maybe I should not have gotten that angry. I should have just kept it inside. But it's just like when, kind of trying to follow the rules of like, we're gonna do a 12-hour day, and we're gonna 6 hours after the beginning of the day we're gonna have lunch. But when you're in a student set, technically, like it's not
union, so you don't
it's
have
not
to
union,
follow
there's
the
no
rules.
laws. Yeah, people can do whatever. And I was kind of just like trying to fight people. I'd be like, the director was very adamant on keeping his film going, and I was kind of trying to fight for the crew of like, okay, it's been 6 hours, maybe we go to lunch, maybe people want to eat. And I was kind of trying to, compromise with the director, but then the crew wasn't on my side, and that made me really angry, because I was like, okay, well, I can go. Like, if we don't care about the time, I'm not really needed here.
Point. Yeah.
And I was trying to fight for people, like maybe they want to go eat, and people were like, no, we're fine. And I was like, okay, do whatever, I guess. Like, if you don't.
Yeah. Do you have any other like big learnings that you would takeaway just from any of your experience? Like, I remember on our set, the pill and having the actress all in the fake blood and then being like, oh, we're supposed to go to lunch now, and we still needed her in the fake blood for after, so it was like, oy, she was meant to like sit in the fake blood. So that was a learning that we had. I know that I had. Yeah, I was like, okay, we're not gonna do that again. And that's the point of student sets is to learn. But do you have any other ones like that where you're like, even if they're like small, like niche things, that you're like, oh, let's not do that again?
Very recently on the feature I worked on, I learned that if you can avoid doing a night shoot, avoid doing a night shoot.
You had a few, right?
We had 2 weeks out of 3 night shoots. And what we realized after the first week is that we probably could have done 2 weeks of day and 1 week of night. And that was, I guess, a miscommunication between like camera department and production department, where we thought we could fake nighttime or daytime. No, we thought we couldn't fake nighttime. And then it turns out we probably could have, because there weren't that many windows. Anyway, the way we were shooting, we could have faked it.
Okay.
But we ended up going through a week of night shoots that we could have done during the day. And night shoots, I did not realize this, night shoots take out morale. It is so bad. It is so bad. I don't, like, you would think it's just normal, like you get used to it, I don't know, but no, it really is that we don't see the sun anymore. You wake up when the sun sets, you go back to bed when it rises. It's really, it really does something to you, and it just, morale, it just brings morale down. So if you can avoid it, please.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say about assistant directing?
I don't know. It's pretty cool. Don't do it, because I will make competition. I think it's a fun job. Like, sometimes, it's like you get to do something logistics on film, so it's like if you're not fully confident in your creative skills yet and you want to keep that on the down low and kind of do that on the side, you don't want to make it your main job, you can do kind of this logistics thing. I think maybe it's maybe an easier pathway into film, because usually most people have to start as a PA anyway, which is the lowest rank in the production department, and you can kind of learn how sets work and then do the logistics. I think it might be a little bit easier to get jobs, because it's like more of what you can do and less of like, do you like art?
Yeah, everybody wants to do the creative stuff. Nobody wants to schedule.
It is, I will say though, a lot of people when you say you want to be an AD, they're like, really? You want to do that one?
It's hard work. It's hard work.
And I think, what was I told? It was such a good quote. It's like you're like the most important, oh my god, you're like the most important person on set, you're also like the most useless. Like you don't, like you're not actively doing anything, you know what I mean? Like you're not putting up props, you're not moving equipment, you're not shooting the film, you're not making creative decisions. But also, if you weren't there, there's no one to do the communication between, like you're the one that communicates between everybody. So you're kind of not actively doing anything, but you are doing something. So you're both like important, but also remember that you're not you're not the one that's carrying the equipment, and people are doing that for you. So.
Now, let's say somebody wants to get into assistant directing. What would you, I know that you're currently on that path, what would you recommend that people start with? Like, what's step one on the journey?
Step one. I mean, you start off as a PA, you try to get jobs as a PA on anything that you can. To join the union on the, like, this is in Canada and even in Ontario, so this is precise, but to join, like, to be a PA, to be able to work on union sets, you need 20 paid days. So I would say try to find 20 paid days you can do anything in the production department, but if you're just starting, you will start as a PA. Usually, I've been told Facebook groups. I haven't been finding so many things on Facebook groups, but that's a pretty good place to start.
It's winter right now, too. So
Also, yes. But in general, I feel like there's so many people on Facebook trying to find jobs, but be one of them.
So saturated.
Be one of them, just try. I think definitely the reason I went to school for film, because I know they keep saying you don't actually have to, but I think it's really nice because that's how you meet people, and that's how I've been getting most of my jobs. It's because I know people, they work with me on the sets, they recommend me on things when they work on it. When they're doing films even after school, they ask me again to come back, and that's mostly how I've been getting my jobs, is people I know. Well, if you're meeting people on your own because you just know people, or if you start on the Facebook groups really early and you get to meet people and like there's ways to start networking. You can go to festivals, you can do whatever. There's events that you can go to meet people. But to me, film school was like how I met everybody and how I've been working out.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you
This is Aspiring Filmmaker Asked. I'm an aspiring filmmaker, and I asked Charlotte about being an AD. Thank you so much for coming. If you want to see more, please subscribe and comment below. What should they comment?
Why being an AD is awesome.
Comment below why being an AD is awesome, and if there's anything else that you would like to learn about film or positions that you're interested in that I can interview people about. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. We just wave forever. Thanks so much for doing that.
Of course, this was fun.
It is fun.
I hope I said smart things.